For a while now, we've been quite entranced by these glass rectangles we call computers. But you see, no one wants to sit down to use one. We've just accepted as a society that you have to. Or have we? You see, in response to this issue, society's come up with many solutions to bring our glass rectangles wherever we want. The two main designs being laptops and phones. But one day, one innovator did the unthinkable. They combined them. The power of a laptop, but the touchscreen and battery life of a phone. With this, we come to today's tablet, run usually by Android or iPad OS, which, while have been improvements, are at the moment just kind of bigger versions of their phone counterparts in app and system design. This often leaves these very capable devices almost lobotomized, doomed as simple drawing pads or YouTube machines. But you see, I had a solution to this. To give context, Linux, while often considered the nerd's OS, delegated to servers, hackers, and hobbyists, has gotten very user-friendly over the last few years. One of the main causes of this effect has come from desktop environments, which give the black terminal a fancy coat of GUI. One of the most popular desktop environments is Gnome, which, while mostly used for desktops, its UI is designed to work exceptionally well with touchscreens, supporting many related features. It's got scaling, snapping, and even an outro. So, saying all this, I had a thought. What if we put Linux on a tablet? Be perfect, right? So, out of options and desperate for some sort of resolution, I knew what I had to do. I searched to see if somebody else did it already. After a while of searching, I had reached a conclusion. They had. But I had also discovered something terrible. They all suck. Too low powered, too expensive, no software support, only sold on some fuck-off marketplace with crazy high shipping. Seeing the desolate state of Linux tablets, I decided to take it upon myself to fix this travesty and make something actually good. And I knew just the way to do it. You see, Raspberry Pis are some of the most popular hobby boards, used by industry and hobbyer alike. And with the recent release of the Raspberry Pi 5, they're now reaching into the home as well. As someone who has actually used one of these devices as my main PC for over a year, I can say that, with some very apparent exception, they work quite well as tiny little work machines. So, armed with this knowledge of Pis, I decided that if I could combine a Pi with some off-the-shelf parts and some code, I could make it the ultimate Linux tablet. Something reasonably fast, available to a wide app selection of Linux, something with software support, and on top of this, it would be modular too. Just pop in the next Pi when it comes out or replace a faulty part when needed. With this, I set off to manifest this project into a real thing. But be worried, dear VR. This journey is not without its pitfalls, but let's not spoil you just yet, and get to. The first step I take in any project is setting goals. So I decided for this project I wanted my tablet to be low cost, easy to make, Pi-based, with all parts being sourced on Amazon or 3D printable, so that this project would be accessible to anyone. With my goals in mind, I went out to find some parts, and I settled for Waveshare parts, due to them being on Amazon and seemingly being reliable. With that in mind, I went for my display, which was the most important part of this device. After some deliberation, I went for a 10-inch LCD, as that seemed to be a good middle ground for quality and usability. So, I selected this display. This display, while seemingly unremarkable, did check most of my boxes. Low cost, seemingly good software support, and no sad DSI, which is a more integrated connection that lives on the board itself, so I didn't have to have an HDMI cable just sticking out of the case. So, with the display chosen, I moved on to the battery, which, in comparison to the display, was an easy choice. Some 18650s, one because they're cheap and functional, and modular too, and there's many battery packs made around them. In addition, they don't really make plain tablet batteries. So, with all my parts on their way or already arrived, it was time to put them all together with some 3D modeling. You see, I don't know about you, but these don't exactly look like Legos to me, so the first main challenge of this project would be putting all this stuff together with a custom case. I've been modeling for a while now, so this wasn't too much of an issue for me, plus it let me use FreeCAD for a bigger project this time, which let me finally switch away from Tinkercad and Fusion. I started with a Raspberry Pi 4 case I've used for a while as a starting point. The reason for this specific one is because it had a very nice snap mechanism that I enjoy, and it didn't bury the ports like some other cases. With it in tow, I started modeling, which was a very unremarkable process, though it was easier than I expected due to Waveshare providing the 3D models for the parts I was using. which was a very nice thing for them to do. The main time investment was from remodeling the Pi 4 case in FreeCAD, one so I could use it in the bigger model easier, but also so I could adapt it to the Pi 5. After this, it was just making it all fit correctly and snugly with enough tolerance, until I finally arrived at the final case. While most of this project was really unremarkable in difficulty, I did run into some issues. For one, while modeling, I had to do a few test prints to get dimensions right, and this ended up wasting quite a lot of plastic, and it was left me with these useless pieces of plastic just laying around. Along with this, I also had to reorder literally all the parts I bought from RaidShare, some from my own volition, but some just from some random breakage. This includes the screen I bought randomly just dying for no discernible reason, just kinda cuz. Along with this, at some point, the battery pack I was using just kinda got stuck in one of the test prints of the case, and in the process of forcibly removing it, at some point I connected 2 points on the board, for a moment likely shorting something, but more noticeably sending out a puff of smoke, leading me to buy a new pack and set of batteries, just to be safe. With that, the hardware is complete and the physical side of the project was done, leaving me to put some software onto this thing. I use Fedora on most of my devices for its good support, frequent updates, and its very up-to-date Gnome versions, but sadly I couldn't use it for this project due to the Pi 5 not being supported yet, at least officially, so I turned to Old Faithful, Raspberry Pi OS, but with a few changes. You see, Raspberry Pi OS usually comes with a Pixel desktop environment, which, while good for most Pi activities, wasn't what I was looking for in this tablet. So I went for using Raspberry Pi OS Lite, which doesn't come with a desktop environment, and then shoved in Gnome myself. Along with this, I also got my mini Gnome extensions and apps loaded onto the tablet, leaving me to start working on some more embedded changes. At first, I had some edits to the config file to make the GPIO stuff interface with the battery, but also to make sure it recognized the display and be able to interface with it. Then I went to the EEPROM and changed it to think the power supply was running at 5 amps, due to the fact that without my battery pack having a USB PD chip in it, the Pi didn't know the specs of the display and assumed it was 3 amps as opposed to the recommended 5 amps. And the final change I wanted to make was to add the power level to the menu bar. You see, WaveShare does provide a little self-contained Python script to interface with the battery controller and see the battery life and some related stats, but I wanted to connect it straight to Linux so I could see it from the menu bar, and also to have it auto shut down when the power is too low. This plan fell through due to the fact that I don't know how to code Linux drivers, and AI didn't seem any wiser to the task, so the only way to see battery life is through the command line utility. With the software done, the tablet was finished, and at the price of around $250, and I could finally sit back and enjoy a fully Linux-based tablet. But there was one issue left in the end. Actually, scrap that, there's a lot of issues with this thing. For one, this thing is clunky as hell. It's a giant and obtuse shape, guaranteeing it won't fit anywhere you'd want it to. And it's also heavy as fuck, standing at a cool pound and a 3/4. And on top of that, it doesn't have speakers, so you better have some headphones lying around. But Bluetooth ones, because this thing ain't got no aux port. And that's just the hardware. The software on this thing sucks too. For one, you know how I put Gnome on this thing? Yeah, not Gnome 48, we got Gnome 43. Because Debian doesn't get up-to-date Gnome updates for whatever reason, so all of these improvements they've made, yeah, they ain't here. On top of this, the keyboard on this thing is abysmal. No split keyboard, it's stuck straight in the middle. Oh, so plug in a USB one, you say? Oh, don't worry, I tried. But when you type, oh, what's this? For whatever reason, this thing will only accept a key press when you hold it down for multiple seconds, so typing even one command becomes a treacherous process. You may be sitting here asking me, okay, so why don't you fix these things? I would say, while I could implement the camera or speakers, or try to fix that keyboard thing, without something like Fedora to fix the Gnome issues, and other related software issues, a more embedded design, and somebody who could code Linux kernel drivers, this thing is kinda just stuck being bad whether I implement those things or not. But enough of saying my own device sucks, let's look at some other people's devices to see what they've done right. For one, we have the Argon One Up, which is basically exactly what I wanted. It's small, it uses a Pi CM5 which slims it down to reasonable shape, and gives it very good software support, and it would likely be sold on Amazon. leaving its only issue at face value being the lack of a touchscreen and the lack of Fedora due to it being Pi 5 based. The only thing yet to be seen is the price, but I'd assume it wouldn't be bad at all. Next, we have the FiTab Duo, which is also a very good option. With a price tag of $650, a good ARM-based SoC, and what seems like a good build quality and Linux support, this seems like a great option if you're willing to pay a bit more. Though, it doesn't seem to support Fedora at this time, and it doesn't seem to have much of an upgrade path, unlike our next option, the Framework Laptop 12, which is exactly what I would want. It's modular, it's fast enough, it's portable. The only detractor is that price, which get very high quickly, with the RAM and SSD and the modules, and it runs an Intel x86 CPU, which limits the battery life significantly. So, in the end, I've picked up a Framework Laptop 12. While I do recognize that this is most definitely not a budget device, I do think that the ability to repair and reuse my device forever does offset that, at least for me. Plus, the issues I have with it are completely fixable, including replacing the board with an ARM or RISC-V one. And with that, my adventure has ended. I think that this project has taught me a lot, that there's many parts of stuff like this. Even with off-the-shelf parts, you're often stuck doing a lot of the dirty work. Another thing I've learned is that with portable hardware, it's often simply just better to go with embedded solutions than trying to throw something together yourself, if you want a reliable experience at least. If you're a beginner like me, it's often a very slippery slope to get to a usable experience. Over that, I think that the biggest lesson I've learned is that the unspoken truth that even with many resources being available, most hobby projects don't make it to the finish line, and that's okay. Not every project has to be a winner to be good. In this project, I learned a lot about 3D modeling tolerances in Linux. On top of that, this project isn't a complete failure. Well, not good as an everyday tablet, this still works great as a compact little Linux device. If you have the patience and willpower to deal with the quirks, and maybe fix that keyboard issue, I think this could be a great little workstation machine, or a great semi-portable computer. And with that, I think my journey is over for the time being. Unless I learn how to make Linux drivers or Fedora finally gets support for the Pi 5, I probably won't be going in for round 2. Also, as a side note, this video was made with 100% free and open source software, with the ones I use listed in the description. With that, I hope you all have a nice day, and if you liked this video, please like it to push me into the algorithm. If you didn't, then please comment. I'm happy to hear how I can improve, especially since this is my first video.